All right, so I've got an article up here from DigiDay. Our entire industry is dying. In esports media, layoff season is in full swing. It basically talks about endemic esports media outlets are in the midst of a wave of layoffs that began in spring and picked up speed in recent weeks. As established journalistic operations close their doors or pivot to new business models, some industry observers are feeling pessimistic about the long-term viability of esports journalism, at least in its current form. Look, you can say that about just video game journalism, period, or just journalism, in general, because most journalists, whether it's political, video games, movie, whatever it is, they fucking suck, most of them, and they got no morals, they got no scruples. Anyway, last week, NBN Global, an endemic journalism operation that has covered esports since 2016, laid off the majority of its editorial staff, citing decreasing traffic and fears of the coming recession. That's another very important thing. That's neither here nor there because that's kind of political because that's to do with inflation and so on and so forth. But here's a tweet from Tom Matheson talking about NBN Global has laid off its editorial staff today. I'll put out a tweet later today. All that kind of shit. But anyway, the layoffs at NBN Global, the long-running English-language division of a Korean game site, were only the latest in a deluge of similar moves that have rocked the gaming and esports media industry in recent months. In March, Upcomer laid off the majority of its editorial staff in favor of a pivot to video content. Then last week, Game Informer laid off 2 staffers amid a broader round of firings at the publication's parent company, GameStop. On July 11th, the Dallas Morning News decided to sunset its dedicated esports coverage, moving its esports writer to another role. Our entire industry is dying, said Rod Slasher Breslau, a long-time esports journalist who helped launch editorial operations such as ESPN Esports and the Score Esports. Every media outlet is dying. The entire world of journalism is continuing to change. One of the reasons why is because people have been losing trust in them. Because they try to gin up certain stories, try to tamp down others. Jason Shearer, fucking guy. But anyway, indeed, the issues plaguing esports media are to some extent a microcosm of the broader profitability challenges facing the media industry in 2022. That's another thing. I hate when you go to a website and there's 500 fucking million ads and then a bunch of pop-ups that come up. Every time you start looking at a story, there's a pop-up. Hey, give us your join our email list. Join this, join this. Like, fuck off. How about that? That's fucking ridiculous. But anyway, it goes on, and I'll link this in the description box if you want to happen to read it, because I'm not gonna read the whole thing because it's very, very long. But talking about Decerto, one of the few endemic esports journalism companies that consistently turn a profit, has managed to do so by capitalizing on the credibility gained through its editorial vertical to build out more efficient revenue streams such as a brand consultancy. Yeah, that's going on and on. It talks a lot about it frames it all in the esports thing. I'm talking about it in terms of like just a broader overview, just games media and games journalism in general. It's going to be kind of hard because you start reviewing these games, and then you always got to bitch and complain about all these stupid little things. Like when they said that, I'm just trying to think of like a recent video game that's got, I mean, hell, the stuff with the Elden Ring, for example. I might as well just use that since that's the biggest game of the year. There were all kinds of people bitching about, well, the character creator, oh, it didn't have my type of hairstyle, it didn't have this, it didn't have that. I saw an article about somebody whining about, well, the people were making purposely ugly characters and everything. And it's like, what the fuck are you whining about? But anyway, it just goes on and on. It just goes, like I said, this article just keeps going. Here's one from another. I'll finish with a quote from Breslau, who says they're not journalists. They do not go the extra mile to talking about esports people, the esports journalists from like NBN Global and stuff. They do not go the extra mile to talk to the subjects involved or talk to the people around the subject. They do not put any additional information out there that you wouldn't know by reading the Reddit thread initially. For posting his own report on the Twitter, all that kind of stuff. NBN Global is the first endemic sports location to experience layoffs in 2020, and it's unlikely to be the last. If the future, and here's a part that's really kind of. If the future journalists of today are looking at Jake and Keemstar as their idols, and not other people like Richard Lewis or Jacob Bolton, I think we might be in a spot of bother. It'll be interesting to know what journalism courses will look like in 10 to 20 years' time. Yeah, Keemstar, I'm not a fan. I'll just leave it at that. I am not a fan of Keemstar. I do not like his the way he does things. I don't care for it. I think it's maybe I'll go into that at another time. Probably won't though, because probably nobody gives a shit. But whatever. But it's like he would not be a guy I would try to idolize and try to do things like. Anyway, I'll go ahead and wrap this up here. I've already gone for 5 minutes with this video. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.